welcome back to my channel. We are going to jump right into it today, how managing somebody else's dream made me a terrible person. I chose to talk about this because I am in a stage in my life where it's just she and I guess I never elaborated on what exactly that meant. I envision she and I, both she and I are me, but she is me looking at myself from an outside perspective, or looking at myself in terms of something to critique, I guess you can say, in a nice way, in a loving way, and I is my current, most present version of myself who is just looking at she as time passes and goes on and is learning and is improving. And I think that this topic really applies to this journey that I'm on right now. So I thought it was appropriate to bring onto this YouTube channel. Although I know the title sounded pretty negative, we will talk about some positives. This is a good way for me to talk about it, first of all. And second of all, I think that a lot of people will resonate with this because I think that we've all been through a situation where we didn't realize it at the time, but some event, somebody, I don't know, however you want to say, came into our lives, and we didn't realize that it was killing us slowly. And there's really no other way to put it. That's reality, that's the truth, this is what this channel is about, and we're going to talk about it. Because here's the thing, not only, can you say, yes, this was a terrible time for me, I didn't like myself when I was going through this, but we learned from it. And I think that that's a strong point that I also want to touch on as I'm telling a story, because we can decide whether or not, when we come out of hardships, if we're going to learn and gain from it and use it to the best of our ability, or if we're just going to keep letting it drag us down. And I'm going to choose the former. So let's start from the beginning. I apologize in advance. I'm a terrible historian. The timeline is probably going to get so screwed up, but I will give you the gist. So this starts in 2017 when me and my best friend graduated from high school. There was a smoothie shop that was opening up pretty close to both of our houses. We decided that we were going to work there together as an excuse to spend time with each other, get paid, and it was brand new, so it would be like kind of cool if we got to be one of the first people to work at this new establishment. So we ended up doing that. Like, everything worked out to where we were able to fulfill that vision, and I don't even remember how it happened, but we were both working there, and then I forget why my friend stopped working there, so it was just me left. I didn't really mind where I was working, so I stayed there, and I went all the way from crew member to shift lead to co-manager, which was basically general manager, but I had a buddy who was also general manager, so we co-managed together. We were both in school at the time, but the store needed somebody to run it, but we both didn't want to run it ourselves because we were like busy. So we both just decided we're just gonna run the store together. And that store in particular, how do I describe it? Love the people. People were great. Still talk to the people that I used to work with at that store to this day. That's what made the store great. The store itself was a store owned by a franchisee, and this was not his main source of income. This was his side hustle, and in the most professional way, that is why this man is the reason why I quit. Wasn't getting paid enough, was doing way more than I should have, but this is my first job, and I am unfortunately one of those people who cares a little bit too much about their job and cares about doing a really good job and giving my 100% every day. But then it just got to a point where I was getting burnt out and there was no good reason for it, and I decided it was time to leave. And so I did. There was same company, but they were paying more for less responsibility. And mind you, the vibe is totally different. This first franchise that I worked for, this first location, this was this guy's side hustle. This was not his passion project. Jump to this other company where I started working, was getting paid more to do much less. Work environment was still great. Obviously, like, it wasn't much of an adjustment. I mean, the concept is similar. Nothing was really different as far as your normal workday. It was just definitely a lot more structured, and this owner of this particular location, this was definitely his passion project. Owns multiple stores, not only just in Michigan, but in, I know, Wisconsin for sure. I forget all the other ones, and I think he also owns different companies as well that are like a restaurant business. But this was this guy's passion project, so everything was very intentional. Everything was very structured. There was actually proper training for the people that worked at this company versus this other location that I was previously at, where everybody was like 16 years old, and whenever somebody left, the next 16-year-old got promoted. Basically, there was no actual structure. The store ran as well as it could have ran with a bunch of 16-year-olds in charge. Okay. This other location that I'm at, although more structured, definitely more intentional, when it ran well, it was so fun to work at. And don't get me wrong, both locations were fun to work at. The people were great. You meet all different kinds of people that you normally wouldn't interact with on a daily basis. I think that's great. That's one of the parts that I love most about it. But I definitely enjoyed the second location more, being that there was that structure and there was a little bit more intention, and I could tell that there was a lot of passion put into running this store. I initially didn't start there as a general manager or anything. I started, because like I said, I was getting paid more to do less. I started as a shift lead, and then at that point they were looking for somebody to be an assistant manager for the general manager. And it was between me and my friend who was actually co-managing with me at the other location, which she's great, she's amazing. I think very highly of her. She's very efficient. Pretty much your ideal person who you'd want working with the general public. She's great. And so that position was between me and her, I'm assuming at the time. We were really the oldest ones there. We were the only ones who displayed or expressed potential interest in the position. Me and myself, I made them aware that I wasn't really planning on being at that location for very long. I was still in school. The program that I was waiting to get into and thinking about transitioning into, it was just on my mind. It was on my list, prioritized way before working at this store. So because of that, I'm pretty sure that's why I was second in line. Not to say that I would have been first otherwise, but we were just the only adults there that I think that general manager at the time was looking at to fill an assistant manager position. So it was between me and my friend from my other store, and my friend actually ended up leaving. She did not stay the entirety of the time, and so I kind of assumed that I would be approached next, but I never got that chance really, because there was an unfortunate accident and we needed somebody to be a general manager before an assistant manager. Both spots needed to be filled at that point, but of course the general manager position takes precedence. And so then there's me kind of like, I guess I am the only one here who might be willing to fill this position, and I made it very clear to them, I have plans, I have aspirations, I don't plan on working here past this time. I gave them a very specific timeline, and I was very firm about that. But you know, I was going to school, and I was going to transition into another program, which was going to take another 2 years, and I'm like, I could use the money, I could use the references, I could use the experience in managing a much bigger store. This new location was just bigger and badder. And I was like, this would look good on my resume, like all the things, right? This can only benefit me, honestly. And I can juggle it with school now. It was very minimal work between school and the job. So I took it, And at this point, I believe, like I said, my timelines are so skewed. I'm a terrible historian. It was probably around 2020 because I started my program for school in 2022, so I definitely stayed a lot longer than I anticipated at this new location. But it was great, and I loved it, and I loved the people. So you're probably curious, when did it start getting terrible? You were going to talk about how you were a terrible person. I'm getting to that right now. So, with all this newfound responsibility, there were a lot of things that were new to me. And when I say that, I'm talking about the fact that, remember prior when I said that this store was bigger and badder? There was no mentorship at the first location. It was just one person learning from the next person, no real tea, you know what I mean? Nobody really knew what they were doing at the first location. It was just, we were just passing the torch. With the second store, it's like, okay, I accept the position. It can't be that hard. You know, how do I get where I need to be? All the responsibilities of this new store were that of the previous store, but multiplied by 10. And honestly, you guys, it's not that it was hard at all. It's just, when you work in a restaurant, it's really the employees. Not everybody plans on working in restaurant or food business for the rest of their life. And a lot of the people that were working at this company were teenagers and college students. Very rarely did you see, you know, someone above mid-20s working there. And that's not to say that you can't. That was just the average Joe there. And just me spitfiring, the responsibilities of a general manager for this particular store included, you know, hiring, which is a process in itself. You have to schedule interviews with people. You have to go over a bunch of paperwork with them. You have to get them organized and ready for their first day of work. You have to coordinate it with your other employees, because most likely you're not going to be doing any of the training. General managers, you just have way more suitable things for you to be doing. You can delegate that to somebody else. You're firing people, you're making the schedule, you're handling all of the money, or at least overseeing it. Because again, a lot of this stuff I did delegate to my staff and they were capable of handling it, but you're still not going to really take your eyes off of it. You are working the lines occasionally when there's not really anything else to do. You're ordering the supplies, whether it's the actual product that you're selling or the products that you need to run the entire store. If I remember correctly, we were doing produce Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then, or at least 3 days a week, and then 2 days where you're ordering all the bulk stuff. There were some times where things get messed up, so then that also takes a lot of your time. You have, you know, around the holidays or around the summertime when things start to pick up for whatever the reason being, you're over preparing for that. You have to staff for that. Just all of the things that go into general managing, I had to learn on a larger scale for this particular store. And I would say that a lot of that seriousness attributes to the fact that again, this person, this is what they do for a living. The owner of this particular restaurant, this person knows what they're doing. They have a army of people and are so efficient and so good at helping this man achieve his vision that the expectations were just much higher. And I was like, yes, I got it, and I'm here for it because I love the energy. So to help me do all this, they brought in another gentleman who basically had higher aspirations within this company, but I think they were kind of just testing the waters with him to see if he could do a couple of side quests, prove his worth, I guess, and help them out in the meantime. So This man was basically my mentor. We worked very closely together during the time that he was training me, and we became very close because of that. He watched me grow and succeed as a person and as a manager. And, of course, there were stressful times, but he picked me up out of them and let me find my way, helped guide me in finding my way, and I cannot thank him enough. And I hope he is doing well to this day. Now, mind you, he was one of the variables that made an otherwise very stressful and difficult job fun and exciting. And I can say that about a lot of the people that I worked with at that particular location and at my old location. That is one thing that remains true throughout. And I don't know about you guys, I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, when I get put into stressful situations for too long, especially in a situation like this, where this is not my passion project, although I can appreciate that it was somebody else's passion project, that only gets me so far. My battery is going to run out when I'm in a situation where it's not my ideal situation to begin with, and things are starting to go awry no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you prepare. And that's exactly what happened when I first started out trying to run this place. The first part of why I would say this experience made me a terrible person, it made me so unempathetic, it was disgusting. I could give you a couple of examples of times when I was unempathetic. First one is very short and sweet. I resented people who called off sick. I resented people who took off work to go on vacation. I resented people who had car problems. I resented things that are usually normal parts of people's lives, and I was never like this until I started this job. And like I said, it was because you could have everything so planned out and perfect and wonderful theoretically, but people still have life going on, and you can't prepare for that. And I know it sounds really bad. I'm not saying it wasn't really bad. It was bad because it was bad, but it was also bad because I didn't feel terrible about expressing my resentment for these people who, needed to take some time off of work. And I think that all of that resentment came from the fact that, one, I didn't take this job necessarily because I wanted to take this job, and two, like I said, I'm somebody who I would like to think that I really care about doing a good job at my job. So I remember I was like sick for a straight month when COVID was going on, just like taking my morning and afternoon allergy pills and coming into work and suffering. I sprained my ankle and still came into work and was limping around until they made me go home. Like, you guys don't want to be here and suffer with me? Like, that job at that point, like, I was underwater. Like, I was more than neck deep. I was this deep into it. That store was my life. And I resented anybody else who did not make that their life, because I'm looking at all the people that are ranking above me who absolutely just see the vision, so good at their job, and they're so efficient. And I understand why the owner has them where they have them, because they inspire people like me who like to be passionate about things, like to do a good job, and have high expectations. Everybody else, it's not their passion project. They don't get it. I got it. Everybody else above me got it. It's very hard to get other people to get it. This was the kind of operation where we want to expand. That's our goal. If you are hired as a crew member, we expect and want you to fill the role of shift lead, and so on, shift lead from assistant manager, and so on, assistant manager from general manager. So maybe one day you can work your way up and own your own store and be business partners. This store had a very progressive mission, and it was to expand, offer a good customer experience, and it was meant to be efficient and successful, and of which I was very proud to be a part of. But again, resented anybody else who didn't contribute to the vision. So that's number one. Very unempathetic. I sucked. Number two, I crashed out. a lot. At one point, this store had a group chat. I think I might turn on the light, hold on. At one point, this store had a group chat. Do not ever recommend starting a company group chat, let alone a company group chat with a bunch of teenagers. It's literally asking to raise HE double hockey sticks. And like I said, I had a mentor for a while, just showing me the ropes, teaching me how to run this store. And in the group chat, at one point, there were coworkers who started talking crap about my mentor, to which, that bothered me for many reasons. One, because I was very close to him at this point, and I just wanted to defend my friend against the things that people were saying about him. And number two, it was petty. It was like, you're saying something you know nothing about just to stir up some drama, and it's about somebody who's here helping us off this ledge that we're on. Like, I could admit that I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm learning along with everybody else and trying to be cordial, and I'm not too prideful to learn from the crew members who have been here for a very long time. Like, they know what they're talking about. But at the same time, this store wasn't really squeaky clean. Like, there were a lot of gaps, and that's what this guy was here for. He's here to help us do better, and you're just sitting here worried about the wrong things and also disrespecting him. And so I took it upon myself to crash out in the group chat trying to defend my friend, basically just saying what I said before. You just need to worry about you. Don't worry about what he's doing. He's here to help us. I don't want to hear it anymore. It wasn't, that's not what I said. I'm telling you this now, like how I said it, but that's not what I said. It wasn't professional. It was rude, and I still regret the delivery until this day. And if any of you are watching this that worked with me during that time, just know y'all stressed me out. Love ya, but y'all stressed me out, and I do apologize for crashing out. After I sent that message in the group chat, there was a whole lot of back and forth, which I didn't want there to be. I thought my word was going to be the last word, but that's wild of me to think because I was in a group chat full of teenagers. I was also ignorant myself because I shouldn't have talked to them that way, and I definitely could have handled it in a more mature way. So anyways, after that, a lot of people quit, and then we were worse off. And like I said, I had to deal with that. My mentor, watched me fail a lot. And when I was really down, he would kind of just be like, I think here's where you should start. I'm not going to help you because you need to learn how to do this on your own, because I'm not going to be here one day. But you need to learn how to do this on your own. I think you should start with this. So anyways, that was number 2. And number 3. This isn't another example, but I think I just want to touch on this before we start talking about all the good things that came out of it. The part that I noticed about me most during that time was that I cared so much about me having a good day that I didn't realize that the people that, I managed, I really did care a lot about them, but how would they know? You know what I mean? I was so self-indulged and, like, am I hitting my numbers this week? 8 people called off during the week. How am I going to fill these spots? Cisco didn't drop off half of our order, and all the delivery guy had to say about that was, here's the company's number, take it up with them. Like, I'm going to have to go to the warehouse and waste a bunch of time doing that when I could be at the store doing other things. And me being selfish in that way, I felt that a lot more, and there were days when I just could not give when my tank was empty. And I felt really bad about that because I wanted to be like my higher ups. Like, I wanted to inspire my employees. I wanted this to be a place where everybody looked forward to coming to work, where they could look forward to, celebrating our achievements and having a stress-free day because we know that we have each other's backs. Even if all the odds are against us and we have a crappy day, we're still going to get it done, and we're still going to get everybody home on time. But at the end of the day, Even after I came out of this thing very successful, made this store a decent amount of money, made a lot of connections with really great people, this wasn't my passion project. And that really made me think, because I'm very much a person who, when I have an idea in my head and I want to try for something, I'm going to obsess over it. I'm going to be neurotic over it. And I know sometimes that's not the best, but I've always gotten something out of it by being very intentional about what I want to do and coordinating my actions with the outcomes that I want to receive. And even though this was in the context of me making somebody else's dream happen, it just makes you think, what would happen if I did that for myself? It's like I was participating in somebody else's dream in a way that I would participate in my own dream. And this wasn't even meant for me. So imagine how much better it would feel if it was meant for me. Probably wouldn't be as stressed, would be a little bit more forgiving, and probably would have created better experiences for myself and the people that I worked with. And I guess that this is one of those things in life that circle back because it teaches you a lot of good lessons. One being, don't settle. The first store that I was at wasn't cutting it, wasn't paying me enough, I was doing too much, and you can't just hang on to something because of the potential that it has. If you're giving more than you're receiving, then it's time to go. It also made me realize how terrible I felt on a daily basis when my job kind of requires judging others all day long. Like, should I hire this person? They came here in their pajamas and they didn't brush their hair. And why would you bring a friend to an interview? And even making decision calls about, like, should I promote this person? Should I fire them? Should I give them a raise? All of these require some form of judgment. And unless it was positive, I really didn't like doing it. I wanted to give my people raises, I wanted to give my people promotions, I wanted to give them all of the hours that they wanted, and it was just a really icky feeling, and I never want to feel that feeling again. However, like I said, if I were to approach things differently, if I was a little bit more forgiving, and if I was a little bit more empathetic, it's not that you feel that your job is to judge people, but that it's your job to guide people and coach people. And if they're not receptive to that, then you've done all that you could do. And at that point, you could say, I don't see where we could progress further, although I see you put your best efforts forward. It's a pleasure getting to know you and work with you. And if you would like to discuss progressing further, we'd love to have you back. But right now just might not be the time. Being gentle is a great way to approach things. Not just because it's like you're afraid of confrontation or anything like that, but because you have that element of understanding where somebody else might be coming from. And it's like very simple. Talk to somebody how you would want to be talked to, or talk to somebody how you'd like somebody to talk to your grandma. If a situation is causing you to feel like, oh my gosh, time feels like it's running out, I don't feel like I have enough time. If that thing is making you feel like you can't express the best parts of you, then it might be time to reevaluate where you stand with that thing. Like I said, at both stores, we went through craziness together, and that really helped bond everybody, even if in our personal lives maybe we would have never met otherwise, or we wouldn't have clicked otherwise. I went through COVID, the first, the first wave of COVID in the first store, and then the second wave of COVID in the second store just falling apart a lot quicker than I thought when I first got there that it was going to, and kind of building my own staff up, which was really neat actually. Like I said, I really saw us as a very elite, well-oiled machine. I was really very proud at the very end of my time there. I can't talk highly enough of the two ladies I had as my assistant managers during that time, and of course my mentor, but I already talked a little bit about him. The two ladies that I had as my assistant managers were like my rock. I don't know what I would do without them. Both extremely efficient ladies. Whatever they do in life, they will succeed, and I think very highly of them. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little story time and our little deep dive into the subject. And like I said, I wanted to bring it up because I think it's important. We're all shaped by our experiences. The point of the story is emphasizing that you'll know what's not meant for you, you'll stress about it, you'll lose sleep over it, and you'll lose yourself because of it. It's pretty daunting to think about. Like, I was working my butt off for somebody else's dream, and that's not to make the owner out to be the villain. It's just me realizing that my time is very valuable, and I would rather put my blood, sweat, and tears into something that's meant for me. And if I was previously putting my blood, sweat, and tears into something for somebody else, imagine what I could do for me. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's important to me to have these conversations. I'm really trying to learn and grow as a person and figure out what I want and who I want to be. If this resonates with you, please comment down below, like the video, share it, subscribe to see more. God bless y'all who are already on the journey with me. I could not be more grateful for the support and the recognition that I have already received from you guys, and I hope that I can give back a lot more. So thank you for watching. This was how managing somebody else's dream made me a terrible person, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!